This episode of the Martial Arts Icons podcast is brought to you by Twin Dragons USA. Twin Dragons USA. Etsy.com/shop/Twin Dragons USA. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Martial Arts Icons podcast, broadcasting live on Spreaker.com, that's Spreaker.com, and on the YouTube channel, Martial Arts Icons podcast. I'm your host, Ray Aldaz, and I'm very thrilled to have a very special guest on with me today. He is Grandmaster of the legendary Black Dragon Fighting Society, and also a Shidoshi, a sensei, over at Dux Ryu. Joining me now is Grandmaster Sky Benson. Hello, Sky. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, but you made a few mistakes right there. As far as my title, I'm Grandmaster of Dux Ryu, and I'm one of the board of directors of the Black Dragon Fighting Society.
Oh man. Oh, okay. So I got it twisted.
Yeah, but that's okay. Go for it, man. It's okay. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too. I'm trying. I gave you a higher title with the legendary Black Dragon Fighting Society, but hey, just to be a part of the legendary Black Dragon Fighting Society, I mean that to me, I mean, in my mind, you're a grandmaster.
Well, yes, I mean, I am a grandmaster within the Black Dragon Fighting Society. I am on the Grandmasters Council, yes.
Right, so you're like one of the Jedis for Yoda.
If you want to consider it that way,
Anyway, Sky,
not me.
Thank you. That's right, I said it. Thank you for being on the program. I'm actually going to be training with one of your students. He is Jesse James Tucker of Tucson, Krav Maga specialist. I'm going to be doing some Krav Maga and some judo and a little bit of Muay Thai. So, one of your students, I'm going to be training with him.
That's a beautiful thing. Jesse's a great guy, man. He knows a lot.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I see him doing the Tibetan burning palm also, the dim mat.
I shared that with them. That's one of the things that all the black belts need to learn within Dux Ryu, of course, from the movie Bloodsport, when Jean-Claude breaks the fifth brick from the top and blows out the bottom. So that was one of the things that was always impressive within our system, was that bottom brick break.
That's right. When the one of the heads of the table over at the competition says bottom one.
The bottom one, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. But so your passion for martial arts. I mean, you're a lifelong martial artist. And like the movie Bloodsport, you're all about the knowledge. Like Senzo Tanaka said, he's like, the teaching, passing the knowledge. And you love to do that. You have many great students, but your knowledge for teaching martial arts is definitely burning inside.
Oh, 100%, man. That's my passion. That's my life. That's my going to. I have a regular job, but, my life is all about martial arts.
Right, that's your reason d'etre.
The reason to what? I'm sorry?
Your reason to be. Your reason d'etre. Yeah. I'm speaking French here. But,
yeah, man, I mean, that's all I think about other than, a day job. Other than that, it's all about martial arts, watching martial arts, learning different martial arts. I still, go to classes here and there, do a seminar here and there. Just to stay active. I don't necessarily tell people who I am. I just kind of show up to a room,
like a real shinobi. You just show up out of the smoke.
Yeah, I mean, I just enjoy it. I love it. It's not only fun, and I typically learn more from my students than I've learned, just specific techniques. As you know, within Dux Ryu, I mean, we don't necessarily believe in techniques specifically. Techniques are kind of worthless. Techniques are only good if you know what's coming. If you don't know what's coming, then what are you going to do? So learning techniques is basically learning options. There's many options behind the movements that people make, but a technique in itself, it's pretty much worthless to sit there and practice on a technique, because no one's ever going to stand in front of you and let you do it.
Yeah, fighting is very unpredictable. Absolutely. Now, you teach, for Dux Ryu, you teach a system known as the FAST system. Tell me about that.
Well, FAST stands for Focus, Action, Skill, Strategy, and Tactics. It was the evolution of the Dux Ryu Ninjutsu. So Dux Ryu actually evolved from the 80s into the 90s when more of the MMA systems started coming forward, and all these different systems are incorporating multiple martial arts. And, of course, MMA, right? Mixed martial arts.
That's right.
So when that started happening, a lot of people started using more battlefield combatives, grounding and pounding and takedowns and throws, and being real hardcore in their attacks. So we had to kind of move from those softer styles, what you would say, and get into some hardcore stuff, and the FAST system evolved from that. We were always pretty much hardcore and full contact, but tactics change over time. So we had to get rid of a lot of the old tactics because they weren't really relevant anymore. And we brought on more tactics and new tactics, and that was incorporated into what we now call the FAST system, which is an application technology. So it went from teaching an entire art form per se. Now, that the art form in itself is taught through the traditional Ninjutsu Association out of Mexico City with Francisco Diaz.
Sensei Nightwolf, right.
Right. So as far as the FAST system so what I teach is an application technology. It's something that could be taught and applied to a current martial art, no matter what it is, or any kind of fighting style, to make it more effective and efficient in combat.
Right.
So it's an application technology, not a complete 100% white belt to black belt type of a system.
That reminds me of what legendary karate fighter Master Motobu Choki said. I think he stated that it's nothing sadder to see a martial art that doesn't work, and it sounds like that's what you guys are doing. You're trying to figure out what does work in a real fight scenario.
Well, yeah, so ever since day one within the Dux Ryu, it was always, battle testing everything at all times. You never just did a standard technique, a punch and a block. You went to punch the person in the face, and if the person didn't block it, you'd hit him in the face, and you'd break his face and blood every day. But, you literally learn how to block, parry, redirect, and all of that stuff in class. We were always told, seek out the best. We're not necessarily 100% the best instructors, so go find. You want to learn the sword? Go learn from the best swordsman in the world. You want to learn judo? Go learn from the best judo guy in the world. You want to learn, whatever it might be, go to the best. Learn what you want to learn. Bring it in this class, in Dux Ryu, bring your things to us and battle test it with students of like-minded abilities. So we were always going through the Valley of Los Angeles, even around the country, and learning different techniques and learning different moves, bringing them back to our school, battle testing things, getting these things down while battle testing. So there was a lot of stuff that was not used. So we threw out so many things because it wasn't art specific. It was more battle testing specific.
I see. Right. One of the things you teach in particular are the biomechanics, right, or the angles of fighting. And I believe Hanshi, Frank Dukes, he speaks about these fight angles. He calls them the triangle of power, right?
Well, no, it's actually the triangle of force.
Force, yes.
And it's the 12 angles of attack and evasion.
Yes.
So the 12 angles of attack and evasion are basically set up, the 12 angles of attack are basically set up like that of a clock. So, you have your 1, your 2, your 3, your 4, your 5. Those are all going to be your basic strikes, and the evasion part of it is that clock that you're going to move to those specific numbers. So, for example, say at number 1 would be to the left side of your head. Well, that could be a weapon being hit to the left side of the head. That could be a rich hand to the left side of the head. That could be a kick, roundhouse to the left side of the head. It could be an elbow, a forearm. It don't matter. So anything going to that left side of the head is the number 1.
Right.
So you would basically move to the 1, and that will actually avoid the punch. Now, while you do that, you always want to maintain what is called the triangle of force, which is a center line positioning. Always maintain the center line. So as you're moving your body to maintain your center line with your opponents, and his triangle will be off while yours is on, which gives you more force and power against your opponent.
Brilliant. Really, yeah. You could apply this to, basic boxing as well, right? Fighting off of the angles and countering.
Well, you'll notice that most of the most famous fighters and actual real true fighters, they're going to angle everything. They're always going to be moving and switching and obliquing and, opening the door and just kind of moving around. They're not just going to sit toe to toe and try to trade punches with you.
Right, absolutely. Now, like I stated earlier, you're a lifelong martial artist. Your accomplishments in martial arts go back to, I see here, 1975. So you've been doing it all your life. But you're also an author, and you've written many books, not just on martial arts, but for this show's sake, we'll cover the martial arts ones. But you're a very accomplished author as well. In 2023, you wrote a couple of books here. I see The Ninja Apprentice. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, well, The Ninja Apprentice, it was, a lot of people kept on saying, get into writing books. You should become an author. You know so many things. And I'm like, well, what am I going to write on? I love being a ninja. So, heck, why don't I write a book on being a ninja? And I didn't want to do a technical book, so I wrote a kid's book. And the kid's book, it's called The Ninja Apprentice, Shadows of Destiny. It's about a little kid named Hero that goes and fights a bunch of battles and wins. And there's a lot of good little stories along the way for, just people for getting excited. It's actually pretty good. I liked it, and I've got a lot of good reviews. It's fun.
Yeah,
that was actually my first book that I wrote. And
awesome.
So it's not the greatest thing, and I went from that, and I got a lot of great response from children, and I started thinking about children and writing children's books, and that's when I got into my next books, like Life Skills for Teens and Breaking Procrastination Barriers, and then I wrote one on Empowered Youth Emotions and Stress, all basically to help kids with, adolescents, whether they're in middle school or junior high or high school, how to deal with life and how to deal with modern problems and how to get a little jump on life.
Absolutely, yeah. Your book, The Ninja Apprentice, you could even make an adaptation for that and, create a screenplay. It'd be a nice TV show, maybe like Enter the Ninja or The Master.
Yeah, no, I think that book would be more turned into kind of like an anime or something. Not necessarily a movie. Remember, it is a kid's book. It's definitely not geared towards any adults for that matter.
I see.
But I did release a book, speaking about books, for the martial arts schools called Beyond the Mat, Becoming an AI Black Belt. It's a comprehensive guide to
I saw that one.
Yeah, so it's using AI for a successful martial arts business, and I have like AI prompts in there that people could just copy and paste and get some incredible stuff for their schools. But it's a great book. I've been getting a lot of response from it.
It's amazing. Yeah. Now AI. We're living in the age of AI, and you see, I see how you being a member of Dux Ryu, you guys are always evolving, always moving forward. With it's not just the trends, it's the changing of the times. You guys are always prepared and always working towards the future.
Well, that's the number number one thing to know your surroundings. So you're always having to change and make compromises and do things and get out of your comfort zone and do things. That's why I always constantly train. I'm always training because you can't just be stuck in one thing.
Absolutely.
If you've been training your whole life for someone throwing a straight punch at you and then someone throws a hook punch at you, you're going to get hit, no matter how long you've been training.
Yeah, it's like, running water. That's how I look at training. You just have to keep flowing.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, so you're also a martial arts historian. You got one of your books here, Martial Arts Around the World, Art Styles, History. So you're a martial arts historian also. Tell us about that book.
Well, not necessarily a historian, I wouldn't say. I mean, I'm definitely not a martial art historian. I love the arts, but I like current martial arts. The history of martial arts is great to know, but I like to learn current things, not necessarily stick myself in the past.
Right.
So as far as those books are concerned, that one that you're talking about, Martial Arts Around the World, that's just basically a book of the different martial arts around the world. So I list the martial art, what it's about, and all the different martial arts around the world. Now, there's thousands, but I'm only able to put in there maybe, I think 75 or 80 different martial arts and kind of explain about each one. So that's what that book's about. But I have written a couple other martial art books. Number one, you were talking about with Jesse and the Dem Mock, or the bottom brick break,
yeah,
which is basically a kinetic energy break. You're breaking the bottom brick. I wrote a book on breaking bricks and boards, so that book's listed there too.
Nice.
On Amazon. And I also did another book, Secrets of the Masters, which is basically what the masters don't want you to know. That's what I say. It's all my little secrets, all the little tidbits, all the little the nuances that you need to know in order to make your art form as effective as possible. All the cool little tricks.
I see here, yes, higher concepts that would make you an invincible fighter. Yeah, that's definitely a book I would love to have in my collection. Now, how did you get started in martial arts? I see here your timeline going back to 1975. You just started with basic old school karate, like most of us, right? Well, it was a Shotokan. How did you start out?
I really walked in. I walked into school one day. It was like the third day of school. I think it was second grade or third grade or something like that. I mean, it was way back. Anyway,
yeah.
I was. This guy was an old Shaolin guy. He was a kung fu guy, and he saw that I had a kind of a bad childhood, and I was walking around with bruises and stuff. And he says, "Hey, man, let me pull you aside." And he pulled me aside, and he actually started teaching me breathing exercises when I was a little kid, and I was very fascinated about that because he really taught me how to calm myself, because I was always pretty hyper.
So he taught you Qigong pretty much right off the bat.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to call it that, yes. I mean, that's not what it was called back then, or that's not what he said he was teaching me. It was just basically breathing. And so through that's kind of what started me, is understanding breathing wasn't breathing, if that makes sense.
Yes.
There is an actual way to breathe. It's not just breathing to live, but it's it's breathing for a purpose. And through that little lesson right there opened my mind up to, wow, this is incredible. And that got me into learning the Kung Fu. And I studied Five Animal Kung Fu for basically about 6 years from that point. And I started getting into tournaments. I was winning some tournaments. Unfortunately, my teacher was very old. He passed. I didn't have him anymore, so I went and started going around and getting other instructors. I had Taekwondo at first, Yang Duan, Tang Sudo, Goju Ryu through Master Fisher, which told me about Frank Dux, because he had taught Frank Dux Jiu-Jitsu and Goju Ryu. So that was very interesting. And so I got into that. During those training periods from like the 75 to 80, I started doing tournaments, and I became a tournament champion. I was like 3-time grand champion in the San Fernando Valley tournaments.
And
Now,
these were like point fighter competition, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was a kid. I was only, like 14, 13, 14, maybe going on 15 at the time. So, I mean, I was a kid.
And you had already gotten your black belt, even by, but what was it, by 83,
Yeah,
you were already a black belt.
I was a 15-year-old black belt. Yes.
Wow.
It was an adult black belt. I was a 15. I mean, every day of my life I did martial arts. But anyway, I was the champion three times in a row, 3 years in a row in the San Fernando Valley. And it was funny because they called them the Karate Kid tournaments.
Yeah.
I was a 3-time grand champion. Yeah. So there's a whole joke out there that I was the original, Karate Kid and stuff. No, I just did karate and I was in some tournaments and I won some and great. There was a bunch of tournaments going on at the time. So
well, Karate Kid wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Frank Dux. I mean, they totally, pay homage to his dojo. You know what? Let's just put it this way: Miyagi himself, Pat Morita, trained at Dux Ryu.
Yeah, they did a commercial with that. Yeah, Pat Morita did a commercial at our studio in North Hollywood. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I go back back to 1981 when it was on Coldwater and Whitsett and Coldwater. No, Whitsett. I'm sorry, Riverside and Whitsett, I believe it was. Man, that's so long ago. Moore Park.
Yeah, old school LA right there.
Yeah. Anyway, boy, I don't even remember where that was. And then it moved to like Coldwater and Victory in the Valley, and I left for a while. And when I came back, that's the school I went back to, was the one on Coldwater and Victory. But getting into Dux Ryu, you were asking me how I got into that. Well, I was going around after, winning the tournaments. I was going around. There was like open sparring night, like every Tuesday and Thursday night around the Valley. Anybody could just walk into a school and there'd be open sparring as long as you,
awesome.
Follow the rules. You could just jump in and so people could fight other people. So anyway, we were doing that, and I went to a lot of the schools. And I walked into Frank Dux' school, and I got my ass handed to me.
Oh, man.
And I was like, these kids are white belts, and here I am, a 15, and I'm a black belt, thinking I'm like all badass, I was pretty hardcore badass, but I was a points guy. I didn't know anything about full contact, and Dux was teaching full contact.
Oh, man. You walked into the lion's den.
Yeah, so basically, So I had my ass handed to me, and I was like crawled out of the class, man. I was so hurt. My legs were tore up from contact kicks and everything. I couldn't walk out of the class. They were all laughing and everything. I was humiliated, thinking I was all this badass kid, and here I am, kids like half my age.
Well, that's the prestige of Dux Ryu, of being the first ever American ninjutsu system. That's what you're gonna get. Your ass kicked.
So my whole thing was, I couldn't wait to get back the next day to learn what the hell these guys were doing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I crawled out of the class and I was crying and I'm never coming back to these guys are mean. It was like, man, I was like, I can't believe these guys just humiliated me like that. I need to get them back. And when I started class again, within about 6 to 8 months later after joining the class, I kind of was able to switch my fighting style from a point style to more of a full contact style, and then I just started going through people. So that's what changed my life as far as fighting wise. And then everything was battlefield tested. Everything from blindfolded to touch feel to just all different kinds of scenarios. We would have weekend events. We would go to parks. We would go to pools. We would go to the ocean. We would go to the piers. And I mean, we'd fight and do battle in all different types of scenarios. So it wasn't just on a mat with mirrors in front of you.
Real time, real life scenario.
Yeah, it was fun, man. That was my life. That is my fun. I still got fun with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing that makes Dux Ryu so unique is your dojo practices the Yamabushi clan. Basically this mystic form of ninjutsu.
Well, it's the system of Koga Yamabushi. The Yamabushi was the mountain warriors in Japan. So that's why you'll see a lot of our stances, how we kind of lean back with the leg forward and the hands up. That stance, if you actually think about it, if you're on a hill, that's how you have to stand.
Right.
Right? So that's how we fight. It's like we're on a hill, like we're on a mountaintop.
Incredible.
Because that was the Koga. The Koga was the mountain warriors.
Oh, yeah, the Koga Ryu.
That's basically why that stance is the way it is. Very low to the ground and low like that, rather than where you'd see maybe, like, say, the Iga system, where they're standing up straight most of the time. They're not down real low because they didn't have hills much and stuff to have to worry about.
Well, you have a better center of your own gravity, your own center of your own force, more control.
The lower you are to the ground, the more power you can generate in the lower. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Right now,
unless you have to fall.
Yeah, let's talk about the ninja image. Also, I mean, you guys now you have these very cool blue gis. You know, it almost looks like jiu-jitsu, and Frank himself is a very rare red belt in jiu-jitsu. So I could see maybe that's why you guys incorporated the blue gis. But I mean, the gi itself, the karate gi, I mean, it comes from judo, right?
Well, the actual gis, it all kind of really started with judo, with the entire belt system and everything else, and that thick fabric. Because grabbing a uniform and throwing somebody, you're gonna rip the shreds, a shirt or a jacket or a regular lightweight clothing. So they needed to have something really thick so they could grab and throw.
Right.
And remember, that was a sport. Nobody walks around wearing a judo gi top.
Well, Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter do.
That's right.
And that's funny because Ken and Ryu wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Frank Dux doing the movie Lionheart, the Street Fighter.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, one of those characters, I believe, were Jean-Claude Van Damme, actually.
That's right. Yeah, it was Leon. Yeah. Oh, yeah, where he fights Attila. Oh, what a name! He did the screenplay for that. I mean, not the screenplay, the fight choreography. It's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's the movie Bloodsport opened up the whole world of martial arts for so many people and art forms and just directors and producers and people that want to, hey, we need to make a movie like that. And still nobody's been able to make a movie anywhere close to it.
They try. It almost comes off as like cheesy if they try. I mean, as to where Bloodsport is genuine. But Frank Dux really is, I mean, responsible for so much of our martial arts, modern day pop culture. I mean, it's just incredible. People don't realize this enough. I mean, you wouldn't have Mortal Kombat, Johnny Cage, if it wasn't for Frank Dux' Bloodsport. You wouldn't even have Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Pretty much correct. That's right. It was, he brought him, he interviewed him, and he put him in the movie. So
and trained him also. I mean, he showed him his style. I mean, those very high kicks. I mean, those were Frank's style of kicks.
Well, Jean-Claude was a ballet guy, man. He could throw pretty high kicks.
Yeah, taekwondo. Yeah, but the style of kick. I mean, that they did it to emulate Frank Dux himself.
Well, yeah, he was a little bit. I mean, more of our style, not fight exactly like Frank. He already had his own style, and he looked like Frank Dux when they fought. When Frank Dux was his age, they kind of almost looked like each other. So that was kind of a cool thing. And I remember during that movie when actually Jean-Claude came into the school and sparred with all the students. It was like one of those cool things, and we all got to spar with him. So that was fun. Amazing.
Well, tell us about pretty much your master, your Shidoshi. Frank Dux, he's the man, the myth, the legend. He's the founder of your ninjutsu system. Tell us about the great Frank Dux from your point of view.
Well, I mean, he's Shidoshi Frank Dukes. I mean, the name kind of speaks for itself.
That's right.
There's a lot of controversy, out there, and I've been there. I've seen things. I've done things myself. I've trained guys within the system. I know the truth. I know what's real. I know what's bullshit. And there's a lot of people that talk a lot of bullshit or rehash information they know nothing about or they heard from somebody else and rehash it.
Disinformation.
It's all disinformation and how it's being put out there. And just people are just rehashing the same things they've been saying since the 1980s. So it's nothing new. And I'd say a good 85 to 90% about everything that they're saying has already been proven. And they just keep saying that, it hasn't been proven, or these things haven't been shown. And they actually have been.
I have a clip on Google, and I screenshot it. I typed in, Frank Dukes, Shidoshi Frank Dukes' his name, and Google said that he won the Kumite in 1975. That there was a Kumite underground tournament which he was the winner in 1975. And just recently now, they added some mumbo jumbo where it says, allegedly. But I have it. Even Google admitted not too long ago. They admitted that it was true.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there in 1975, but what I do know is when I started in 81, which is basically a year after he got the heavyweight title. Because it's a 5-year tournament. If he wins it from 75, nobody wanted to fight him in 80, or there wasn't a Kumite, or something happened but he maintained the title of being the heavyweight champion after that 5-year period. The year after that is when I kind of started Dux Ryu, and when I went in, he didn't have the patch on his eye. He wasn't wearing glasses. He was 25 years old.
He was in his prime.
Yeah, he was 25 years old. He was a badass, trust me.
Yeah.
Being 15, 16, looking at a 25, 26-year-old, of course, he was pretty hardcore. He was like, oh my God, look at this guy. He would be able to, hit the speed bag with kicks, with his kicks, and, the double-ended bag, the speed bag. He could fight blindfolded, and blindfold that guy, and he could follow you around the school. I've seen him do some crazy stuff, man. I've seen him do some amazing stuff, and people say it's all bullshit. Well, no,
there's footage. There's footage. I mean, there's Showtime did a special where they interviewed him, and he's doing exactly what you just said. He's throwing these axe kicks at the double end speed bag. Like nothing, and it's just ambidextrous, left, right, and it's no time to set up. The kicks are just coming like second after second. He was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I was personally there, and a lot of people, might talk a lot of shit or whatever, but the bottom line is, I was there. I saw a whole bunch of this stuff. I saw stuff that people would go, "Oh, no way." But I was there.
He's got a lot of haters from Hollywood. I'll just mention one of them right off the bat. Don the Dragon Wilson loves to hate on Shidoshi Frank Dukes, and I tell you what I think. I think it's because his movie Blood Fist sucks ass. I truly think his Blood Fist, other than having Billy Blanks in it. It just sucks. It's a complete rip-off, wannabe version of Bloodsport, and I think he's just jealous, frankly.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because of that, but I mean, it might be. Who knows? I don't think Bloodfist had anything. There was no comparison between that and Bloodsport.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But everybody in the martial arts, no matter who you are, it's the old adage. Like when you're in the school, it's like my dad could beat up your dad, or my art's better than your art, or I could kick your butt. It's just one of those things that nobody respects anybody unless you're within that system. So, and that's not how the martial arts should be. The martial arts should be completely 100% respectful of all art, all forms of fighting art.
That's
combat, right. Martial meaning military. All forms of military fighting arts should be respected with a chain of command and discipline, 100%.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have those aspects, then it's not a martial art.
Absolutely. No, you're 100% right. And yeah, I think that a lot of the hate for Master Dukes is by design. I think it's a psyop. I think this propaganda that this hate propaganda that they lash out against him, I think it's because he's an American, and the martial arts, they come from the Orient, and maybe they're not too happy that at one time we had Frank Dukes showing American exceptionalism in a way.
You also have to think of it like this. As many martial arts systems and art forms and things are out there, it's actually a pretty small a group of people that kind of control all of the masses, if that makes sense. There's only
it does.
A few organizations, movie-wise, martial art halls of fame-wise, organizational-wise. There's not very many of them.
Books, right? Magazine, right. They all control it, yes. They're all under one umbrella.
So with all this control, it's one of those things that if you show any kind of malice or you show any kind of you don't believe something, or if you hold someone up to accountability on something, then they don't want to feel accountable on something, or they don't feel that what you said was right. Well, they have ways of putting out there in articles or putting videos or just doing things which they have thousands and thousands of followers, and then of course those followers are going to believe things, and just so many things that are out there in the world that even though the martial arts is very big, it's really kind of politically small. So if someone doesn't want someone to be a grandmaster, or someone doesn't want someone to be an actor, or someone doesn't want to have a movie out or being inducted somewhere, it's pretty easy to get these people ousted. And that's the whole thing in the industry, is if you're not in the in crowd, well, then you're definitely in the out crowd.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a tight-knit system, yeah.
It's either or. So you're either in or you're out. And that's basically it. So, just like a fraternal organization in a college or a university, you're in a fraternity or you're not. It's it. And you can even think of it as a gang mentality. You're either in the gang or you're not, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And basically everything that happens within those groups are typically happening internally. They don't really go externally. So when problems arise, it goes within these whole groups. And these whole groups get a hold of these things and blow things out of proportions and take things out of context. And then, people can really say what they want. But if they want to know the truth, I always say go to the source.
Absolutely. Oh, but Frank, I mean, he's even been attacked, like gangs, attack of the gangs. Obviously, he was attacked. I mean, he's had, his fight tapes or many of his footage was stolen from his house?
Well, that all get all messed up from the earthquake.
Oh, wow. What was it, Northridge?
Yeah, the Northridge earthquake, that all got messed up. But people broke into the dojo and stole some stuff and stole some tapes and things like that.
Oh, man. Unbelievable. But there's still plenty of footage, like you said, when he was in his prime. I mean, it's just incredible to me. These trolls on the internet could say that you're this, you're that. But, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. The guy's been teaching martial arts for well over, now, 50 years now?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's even people that even say, oh, well, all of his students, they just kind of follow him blindly, kind of a thing. And you know what? I'm not like that. I don't follow nobody blindly. I know everything. I know what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing, what I value, what I hold dear and near to my heart, what's real and what's bullshit, what's fake, and all that stuff. And I'll never say to anybody anything that I don't feel is real.
You don't follow them. You don't follow them blindly unless it's part of the training exercise. Then you follow them with a blindfold on.
Yeah, well, hello. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, people want to know something. Well, call me, man. I don't have no problem telling you the way I remember it, the way I see it. Now, that's my opinion and that's my perception. Those are my views. And that's the way I feel about it. But to everybody, to each his own.
Right.
Everybody has a different perception of everything. So whether someone perceives somebody to be true or someone to be false or honest or, whatever, that's up to them.
That's right. Right.
But all I could say is what I've seen personally, and the things that I haven't seen personally, well, then that's just hearsay. And I hear from other people that things happened. So, and I trust those people. So, it's heck.
The source.
Yeah, I like, for example, in Dux Ryu, there's so many systems out there right now that are basically original Dux Ryu students, but they're not in the system anymore. But you got sheriffs and SWAT, captains and heads of SWAT teams and martial arts systems and sheriff departments and control tactics and all different kinds of instructors and all different kinds of styles out there, believe it or not, including Krav Maga, Kapop, etc., etc. And they also originally started as students within Dux Ryu, and all of these students went on to do their own thing, but their training was hardcore to begin with. And every single one of these people will tell you that that's where they got their training.
Right.
So nobody's afraid to say, hey, they started in this. They don't advertise it because they advertise their own thing, what they're doing. But a lot of these top people actually started. I remember being with a lot of them. I don't like to mention names specifically right now because this really isn't about that.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, it's definitely the stepping stone to greatness is learning this ninjutsu system. Who better to learn it from than from Frank Dux and Frank Dux's disciples and students. Now
so you got to remember one thing. So it's moved away from the auspice of ninjutsu. It's now moved into fast. You can still learn the traditional ninjutsu, and that, as I said, you can go to Mexico to learn that. But as far as the ninjutsu system of Dux Ryu is not really taught Dux Ryu ninjutsu anymore. It has evolved to the fast system.
Right, like we spoke earlier, the fast system. What are the abbreviation again?
FASST. So there's two S's, and it stands for focus, action, skill, strategy, and tactics.
Right. Incredible.
Basically on that order, and there's a certain a scientific way that everything comes together to make everything so effective. It's all based on science, and it's got nothing to do with I think this is going to work or this might work. It's scientifically proven that if these things happen, this is what works.
Absolutely, it's like again, Senzo Tanaka said in Bloodsport. He said, the martial sciences, and they said never settling for one style.
You can learn so much from everybody, from everything. There's not a bad martial art.
Absolutely
there's bad
not.
Martial artists. There's bad martial artists, but the systems in themselves, as long as it's a regular, good old traditional styled system that has all of your basics covered, and not somebody like, there's a lot of McDojos out there. There's a lot of guys that, never got their black belt, but they got a certificate from somebody that they paid for, and now they're, a Soki of their own system. They're a 10th degree master, but, oh man, they can't even walk in a straight line if you see some of these guys. You know?
They can't even do a one basic kata for you. They can't even do it, huh?
Yeah, so there are some of those kinds of guys, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about you walk into a school and you can tell if someone's a good martial artist or not just by the way they work and the way they teach and the way they, control their students and they're able to handle things. So, I mean, you just got to be real. Go in there and open your eyes and really know if somebody's being real or not. Absolutely,
and it doesn't get any more real than the Dux Ryu Ninjutsu system. Well, Sky, I want to thank you for being on the podcast. I hope to have you on as many times as you'd like to come on. Why don't you let my listeners know where they could find you and where they can buy some of your books?
Yeah, so if you go up on Amazon, you can basically go under the book section and just look for my name, Sky, Sky, Benson, Benson, and you'll see pretty much all my books listed right away. And other than that, you can see me on my website at skybenson.com.
Awesome. Sky, like I said, I'm going to be training with one of your students, but if you're ever out in Arizona, I would love to get a training session with you.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was just in Arizona a couple weeks ago.
Right. Yeah, if you're ever out here in Tucson, I got my own dojo, my own home gym here, and it would just be incredible to learn from a grandmaster of Dux Ryu, who I myself consider myself to be like an independent student of your system. I study it, and I myself can do, like you, the Tibetan iron palm, iron fist technique, which is required prerequisite, right, for Dux Ryu.
Well, yeah, and it advances also, so it's not just a one bottom brick break. That's the first phase. The first phase is the one brick. Second phase is three to four bricks, and the fourth stage is a minimum of 5 bricks breaking the bottom, and being able to break a brick while holding it.
Right. Yeah. Much like. Again, paying homage, Master Frank Dux paying homage to Masoyama, the legendary Masoyama.
The originator killed that bull with one punch.
Oh, man. John Keehan, Count Dante tried to do it too, but there's only one Masoyama, just like there's only one Frank Dux, your teacher, and just like there's only one of you, a real martial arts icon here on the podcast, Sky Benson. Thank you, Sky, for coming on. Let's talk soon.
You got it. Take care. Bye.
See ya. Thank you. That was Sky Benson of the Black Dragon Fighting Society and Dux Ryu, one and only Dux Ryu. We got to get Shidoshi Hanshi, Master Frank Dux on this show. It's coming, folks. Well, you're listening to the Martial Arts Icons podcast on Spreaker, on YouTube. If you want to support the program, please go to twindragonsusa.etsy.com. That's my sponsor, twindragonsusa.etsy.com. It's etsy.com/shop/twindragons. You've been listening to the Martial Arts Icons podcast. Sayonara.